Today we have Floris from Vectify IO, which is a company operating 2 years from Netherlands, but operating all around the world. And we have him. Thank you, Floris, for joining us and
Hi,
sharing your
Vasko.
story. Hi, Floris. And sharing your story. So I would maybe start right away and ask you to tell us a little bit about Vectify, what it stands for, how long have you been doing this, and what does Vectify do?
Yes, cool. Thanks for having me. So at Vectify, we help print and promo companies in the US. So companies that do promotional products like t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, bottles, and we help them to get new business in. These companies have a hard time in getting new customers in, and they're very good at keeping the customers they have and providing great quality products, but they have a hard time finding new customers, and we help them to do exactly that.
So, on what does it mean? I mean, you're helping them develop and getting new customers. I like your, by the way, your motto: "We print the leads, you print the swag." I don't know
Yeah.
how you came up with that. So, how long have been Rectify? I mean, how long have you been working with Rectify? You're a small team, as I understand.
Yeah, we're a small team. We're like 3 people, and I started the company 2 years ago, and 2 years ago we did something completely different. So I used to do fully custom go-to-market stuff, combining Clay with HubSpot and building automations and also doing outbound. And over the years, I found a niche, in this case, print and promo industry, that really had a hard time to get new customers in, and they didn't know how to use the tools that were out there nowadays. Spoke to a lot of owners of print and promo companies and figured out that I could really help them with one specific solution, just getting them new customers. Super straightforward. We just make sure they are in meetings with new potential customers that they have never worked with before. And then on the meeting, they convert them. So our service is pay per meeting. So they only pay once we book a meeting for them. And we do that specifically only for print and promo companies at the moment.
So you said you started with certain sectors and verticals, and now you're doing with this. So what
Yeah.
verticals, for example, what kind of clients did you have in the past at the beginning or last year before you specialized?
Yeah, so I used to do go-to-market stuff for a software company and a hardware company as an employee
Hmm.
before I started Vectify. And I figured out that I could do that quite well and got it to work for them as well. And that's when I thought, okay, I can do this as a company as well. I resigned there and started to doing it under the name of Vectify. And I just tried to get everyone sold on the idea of go to market. Hey, with Clay, we can enrich a lot of information. We can send at scale with instantly and a right infrastructure. And the whole thing, I tried always to find customers that were just looking to expand in a specific industry or expand their current operations and help them with a tailored go-to-market solution. And that's when I started, and that were mostly software companies and
Hmm.
telecom providers. I used to work with 2 telecom providers, and even ended up working for a construction company. And that construction company was really, it was super successful, but it was really different because they were super technical, while all the other, like the telecom providers and the software companies, they're all quite technical.
So on this note, what kind of, I mean, before I'm wondering about the tech stack you use. You mentioned Clay, but I'm also wondering,
Mhm.
like you said, more technical, less technical. So what is the ideal customer? What stage is the best client for you? I mean, who you can serve best? Are there any prerequisites or qualifications they need to fill out?
So currently it's always print and promo companies, but when we started, I would take on almost any customer. But I figured out, like in the first few months, that it's best if they have not too much technical knowledge, because it's easier to close then. If they have super high technical knowledge,
Mhm.
you can only sell time because that's what they're missing. If they don't have the technical knowledge, you can sell them the insights and the practices and best practices, how it works, and you can really help them and leverage more on the knowledge you also have. So the markets that are less technical for me are more ideal than the ones that are super technical. So even the software companies, I find it less fun to work with software companies, and I find it way more fun to work with companies that don't know about the tech, and you can really help them to enter a completely new world for them.
So what would be like a standard tech stack? I mean, now you're tailors for the print and promo industry. So someone from the promo industry listening to this, they might not be interested in the tech stack, but some professionals that are working in
Yeah.
there, what would be the, let's say, the general or the basic and where it could go?
So we always use Clay. Clay has quickly become like the standard central hub of whatever we do. And we combine Clay with a lot of APIs, like mainly AI APIs,
Mhm.
or even Serper to extract and scrape data from their websites. So that's Clay, data enrichment, data gathering. We use Apollo sometimes to get a database from, and we use Epify for all the other data sources. So then we have Clay, Apollo, Epify. We used to be working with Instantly, and we recently switched from Instantly to Email Bison. So that's a custom setup for Vectify. We have our own full instance of Email Bison. And let me see. Use Make and NA. And
So
I'd
how do
say
you,
that's our tech setup. Yeah.
so now your profile, then more or less the tech setup for the industry is the same, but you had different setups when you had different
Yeah.
verticals, right?
Yeah. We used to work a lot with a lot of different tools. So I love HeyReach and Lemlist. Those are two great tools to do outreach from. And we used to use those specifically. And all at the beginning of Vectify, I also did HubSpot implementations. And currently, I love it when customers use HubSpot because it's, for me, so easy to use because I understand how the tool works. While if they have Zoho or Salesforce, it's a bit harder for me to understand how it works because I try to compare it with HubSpot. And a lot of companies in the print and promo industry actually use HubSpot, and my previous customers almost always used HubSpot or Salesforce. And that's just a great tool to use as a CRM system.
One more question about your customers. You have customers dominantly in which markets? You mentioned it, but dominantly it's US? Yeah, currently.
Currently in the print and promo industry in the US. So almost all our customers currently are in the US. I only have one more customer that's not a print and promo company, and they are based in the UAE, but all the rest is print and promo in the US.
So my question is, how do you measure success in your service for the customer? How you promote? What are the key KPIs? Let's say. Well,
Yeah.
both KPIs and both, let's say, generally success, and maybe what are the KPIs their clients are interested in.
So general success, like if we work with a customer, what makes it successful is them getting revenue. So the actual revenue they make is more important than anything else, because that's the only way like they're going to justify to keep working with us. So if we make them revenue, they'll keep working with us. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
But in regards to KPIs, what we can control, we look at reply rates, positive reply rates, and then meetings book. So the meeting booking rate. So from a positive reply going to an actual meeting, that percentage, those are the main percentages we look at.
So just to get, so you have a handoff to a person just to get the level of the service. So you're generating the leads and you're handing off the meetings with the managers or sales account executives in the company, right? Did I get that right?
They have a Calendly link, and we just book it in their Calendly link with the prospect, and they just attend the call.
Maybe you can share any case study of, I don't know, a big transformational journey or a big shift that happened with the client, or when they came in after a while, and what are they looking now or what they achieved?
Yeah, so the thing is, with one of our customers is a big distributor in the US in the print and pro industry. And when we joined them, like when we started to work with them, they had no new customers coming in. So their only way of getting revenue was based on their current customers and inbound leads based from like just people looking for promotional products and landing on their website. And they really were in a bad spot at that time. It wasn't going that well. They had serious issues, had to let go of, I think, 14 people. And that didn't go quite well. Then we started to work together, and I convinced him like, hey, our setup is going to change this. We can draw in, like we can pull in new business. And the first 2 weeks, it went a bit slower, quite steadily. And then after 2, 3 weeks, it popped off, and we generated last month alone 220 interested leads, and we convert about 30% of those into a meeting. So
Oh,
for them, that was completely new because those are companies and organizations they have never spoken with before, and they are actively getting revenue from them. The initial revenue is somewhat lower, so we're talking about like 5 to 20K in revenue,
mhm.
but the lifetime value of a print and promo customer can be way larger, and then we're talking about like 100 or 200K.
That was my other question. Like generation sometimes makes sense, sometimes doesn't, depending on the ticket
Hmm.
size and the service you employ, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe if you wish, you can share like what are the potential services pricing that you're at the time being billing these clients if you want. I'm not saying to go
Hmm.
into your pricing policy. I'm more interested in what lessons learned and how they can grow. Or would you share that or no? For what do they? I know you said you're billing them on appointment set, right? I got that
Yes.
right. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we do on appointment set. Like the price sometimes varies, so there I cannot like disclose the price now because it
yeah, okay.
changes every now and then. But depending on what new markets we enter, what the customer specifically wants. But what we do is we have the whole setup, we do the whole technical side of everything, and the only thing the customer has to do is give us some information up front. They just fill in a form, and we make sure they are in the calls, and we have every 2 weeks we have a 30-minute call going over the results, how they're closing the leads, like the meetings, and how everything is going. And yeah, we charge them per meeting we put them on.
Okay. So the implementation period is as soon as they give you information in your form, you set it up, right?
And we can kind of go right away. The only thing is like we have an infrastructure that's for sending. So infrastructure in this case means we have domains and email boxes ready to go. So we can start sending today that are
Mhm.
generic for the print and promo industry.
Ah,
So let's say
okay.
something like yourbrand.com. That's
Yeah.
that specific one we don't own. That would be great though. But just as an example, we have that type of domains ready to go. But if a customer wants to use domains that are tailored to their company, that's not a problem. We can just create domains and mailboxes for your company. But then the setup time just adds 2 to 3 weeks. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we can usually be live within a few days.
Uh,
And we actually launched with a customer this Monday, and we got them their first meeting the same day.
this sounds great.
Yeah, that was surprising to us too. We expected it to take a few days, but happened the first day.
So how do you find your clients yourself? The same
Good
way you do
question.
for your clients, or
And no, actually not. Yeah, I used to like the first few customers we got in through cold email as well and network a bit. But currently how the industry is structured is there's a lot of big companies that help
Mm.
the smaller companies to make more sales and to be able to sell apparel and buy in bulk.
Okay.
So the way the market is structured is that if we can access these larger companies, we have direct access to a lot of smaller companies beneath it. Um, and that's how we currently play. So we're focusing on the big whales because that's going
Yeah.
to give us access to the smaller companies beneath it. But I also get a customer stream through LinkedIn.
Okay, cool. Oh, this is an interesting, point. In some industries, I guess it's similar to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think so too.
so, what would you say, just as a note, maybe out of the business end, you've started this business 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
And now the picture might not be well at the end of the recording and so forth, but this is because you're living a nomad life,
Yes.
right? So you're now from Scotland in a trailer. How
Yeah.
how how is it to work for 2 years nomadic life with a team and doing all
It's
this? Or pros
yeah.
and cons maybe for someone that is now maybe watching from the industry and thinking whether to go this way or not.
Yeah, so the funny thing actually is when I started Vectify, I really wanted to start Vectify to be able to work remotely. I used to like live in a house, everything, and traveled when I was on holiday, and I started my own company like Vectify because I wanted to be able to travel and work behind my computer. So naturally, the first thing I did when I started Vectify is I rented an office space. It was kind of dumb, but I really did. So after 2 months of being in that office space, I made up my mind and I was like, this makes no sense. I have to ditch the office space, and started to work from home. And then eventually, yeah, I ended up in a camper van. I did my first hires when I was living at home. And then, yeah, when everything started to work and like the revenue was growing, the company was going well, we were in a place where we can onboard 10 customers without any issues. So if we had to onboard like 10 customers tomorrow, it would not give us huge issues, like
Mm.
any issues at all. We could do that. And that was the point where I was like, okay, now I can start what I always wanted, because that's why I started my own company, is to be able to travel and do this. Yeah, about a year ago, I bought a camper van together with my girlfriend, and that's where we live now. So we can have this call because Elon Musk decided to create this Starlink setup, and it's great.
Thanks for, I know it's a little bit private, but I mean, sometimes that's also important to understand the life of the entrepreneur. I
I
would
also
like to
like to share it, by the way. I share it a lot on LinkedIn as well.
thanks for doing that, Floris.
Yeah.
I do want to come back to 2 or 3 other questions on the outreach. What is the significance on, I mean, you're setting up the tech stack, you're plugging in, you have some infrastructure and domains because you have a focus on a specific industry. But my question is, how much are you influencing, or what sales processes do companies have? Are you a plugin, or do you, after a while, after using you, do they change their sales processes, or is there no effect or any effect at all? That's one part of the question. Let's start with that one first.
Yeah. So we try to be a plugin. So, hey, you have your sales process. Just tell me how it works, your sales process. Oh, okay. And then they have the meeting. Yes, I'll plug in the leads there and make sure they enter your CRM system as well. So with N8N or Make, I built the automation that it pops into their CRM system as well. And they just have the meeting. But in some cases, definitely in the beginning, we figured out that a lot of these print and promo companies, with all due respect, don't really know how to sell cold traffic. So,
Mhm.
which of course makes sense because it's not something they've done before. So we've also been working a lot on educating our customers on how to close cold traffic, because, and you probably know this, but for anyone who's listening who doesn't know this, if a customer comes to you and you go into a call and you ask them like, hey, welcome, cool that you're at the call. Why did you book the call? What can I help you with? If you do that with cold traffic, it's going to be super weird because you went to them. So it's like, okay, please tell me what you can do for me, instead of asking like, hey, what can I do for you? It's really different, and it's a real, like a whole new way of selling for these companies. So yeah, we also figured out that we have to change the sales process sometimes, or create the sales process, because they just literally don't have it. And that took some
Oh,
time to learn that.
yeah, this is great. And well, I have seen that in many cases when companies are stuck on a revenue level because they're good and they're based on referral, and now they go in cold outreach, and there is a, let's say, culture of selling at minimum,
Yeah.
or ways of selling should be changed. Now, in these regards, what is the importance of a CRM? I know that you're providing CRM cleanup and some services, and you mentioned that you have been working as implementer of HubSpot, but sometimes companies say we don't need a CRM, or so maybe I'm talking about this not for the professionals or the ones that know that understand what are the automations with Make or N8N, or
Yeah.
have been using Clay, but more for, I don't know, a SME owner who is thinking whether to have cold outreach and lead generation. Maybe what is the CRM, and what other key elements must a company have to have at least a basic sales system, let's say, in the cold outreach?
So I'd say a CRM is bare minimum. There's no like, it's not, do I need it or do I not need it? Can I do it in an Excel sheet or not? I feel like a CRM is bare minimum. And if you look at a lot of these CRM systems, HubSpot as well. They even have free plans. So if you're
Yeah.
doing it in an Excel sheet, there's really no point. You can do it for free in a dedicated CRM system. So what we see a lot happening is that we definitely in the beginning of Vectify, I saw a lot happening that we generate leads are coming in, positive replies, and nothing converts because they lose oversight of everything that comes in.
Mhm.
And if you use a CRM system and you build automations or you make sure it's structured correctly, you can keep track of what's happening. If you don't set that up, if you don't have a CRM system, it's just not going to happen in an Excel sheet. Like we did 220 positive replies for one customer like the past 4 weeks. There's no way you're going to track that in an Excel sheet, how you're following up with those positive
Yeah.
replies. And if we're looking at meetings booked, which is one of the reasons why we took that, like the logistics of that up on us, because at the beginning we only did the positive leads and they had to convert the leads, but they weren't able to do that because they weren't able to keep track of everything that comes in. So we took that on us and we were like, okay, we are going to make sure they're in a meeting and you only handle the ones that are in the meeting. And yeah, that changed it a lot, but still then it's super important to make sure that if you had to call with a customer, you follow up with them correctly. Only way to do that is with a clear 360 view of the customer. You can only do that with a CRM system. And I definitely recommend HubSpot. There's nothing wrong with Salesforce. I just like HubSpot or any other CRM system.
So how much do you use AI in your work though? I mean, I know you probably do, but let's say what is the level of use for your clients or for yourself? And where do you see that going in the cold outreach space?
Yes. So I'd say we use it a lot, but it's debatable, of course. But we use it to make sure that every message we send out is personalized, first of all. It's used to warm up the mailboxes as well. But we also use it to handle replies. So replies comes in, and then like we have an agent that checks availability in the Calendly calendar, then generates a message to reply on the earlier message and push them towards a meeting. That's done with AI. So I'd say we use a decent amount of AI.
Can you share what do you use from Readymade, or it's yours, or it's a secret? I mean, or
Sorry,
you
what
use
I
it
use
through,
for?
what do you use for AI reply tech stack or language models or
It's called Rev Reply. That's what we currently use, and it's been good up until now. But we've been testing it for like 2 weeks now. Before that, we didn't use AI for it, and we did actually use AI for it, but we generated it ourselves with OpenAI. So it was an agent creating the message, and we had to manually send it back.
I think we're already 25 minutes into here. Do you have any other questions? I do have just, I mean, I have a lot of questions for you. Like, how do you do the thumb mapping? How do
Oh
you
yeah.
verify? I know that, and I know you mentioned clay and so forth, but how do you put the parameters? But that might be too technical. So maybe leave that if they're interested to come to you and to
Yeah, I'd say
contact
I'm
you.
happy to share it, but it's indeed very technical. But I'd be happy to share it. Maybe one of the things that's interesting to know, we use Million Verifier to verify in regards to the tech stack as well. Like we use Million Verifier and dbounds to make sure that our email addresses are actually valid. And I love Claygent, so we use Claygent a lot in all our workflows. It's basically an AI web scraper. We use it with the Gemini API because there's no rate limits. But
Mhm.
if we need deeper research, we sometimes also use OpenAI.
So one more question, and I'm leaving you, except if you, I know there are a lot of things we can talk about. I'm thinking not to go too technical. I mean, more to set it up for SMEs or people that are wondering which way to go, because there's so many other, I mean, we are talking about experts insights, and now we are talking about go to market at engine
Yeah.
automations. And when we go on the other side, we can talk about trade fairs and how to combine channels. So there is really a big stack here.
Yeah.
And I know that many SMEs who have done it traditional way or never done it before, they are now confused which way to go. So
Hmm.
so on this note, what would be, let's say, the single advice for SMEs that if someone would your single advice someone wants to go to a new market they haven't been to, have not done cold outreach, don't have a clue about automation, say, what would be your main advice? What are the first steps to take?
So if you're entering a new market, if you're really going from a market you know already and you want to add a new market, I would definitely recommend to have some interviews with your potential customers, like prospects. Just ask them a few questions and make sure those questions are good. Like not asking them, hey, do you need this solution? But ask them about the problems they have and let them talk. Record those interviews and like get them all together and get the insights. What's the problem all of them have? And then if you want to go into cold outreach and you want to start sending cold emails, then make sure you have a clear scope on what the problem is these prospects have. Make sure you're not using your own domain. Set up an infrastructure. So our domain is vectify.io, but we send cold emails from getvectify.com. So make sure you buy a separate infrastructure because it's going to hurt your main domain if you don't. Use sending platforms that are made for this. Instantly, Smart Leads. Like I said, we use Email Bison. Like if you're just sending for your company, that's going to be expensive. Don't do that, but go for an Instantly setup or Smart Lead setup. Those are great, not too expensive. Instantly even has a database of leads, so you can get the right leads with valid email addresses. And I think that would be my last tip. Make sure that every email you're sending is personalized and verified. So make sure you're doing some personalization in the email so it's relevant for them, and make sure that you're sending to email addresses that actually exist. Use Million Verifier, use the Instantly setup. They do it themselves. Instantly is great for this if you're new to it. If you, of course, entering a new market, Instantly can help you to set up your first campaign and test that market.
How do
The
you
interviews
customize?
are detrimental though. They're very
So
important.
I know this was a question which was impossible, but how do you customize at scale today? I know 2 years ago it was not possible,
Yeah.
now it is, but how do you customize at scale? Because we're talking about scale of outreach.
Yes. So, and customize, you mean in personalization, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
the messaging,
yeah,
customizing the
exactly.
messaging.
So I'll take an example to draw a picture, but so personalization can be on a personal level, so it can really be about you specifically, or it can be on a company level. And since you work in the company, referencing something about the company can be relevant. Personalization can go super deep. So, like if you ever mentioned on LinkedIn that your dog's name is Floppy, we can mention that in the email, but that might be super weird. So you also have to figure out, okay, what level of personalization is important and what makes it extra relevant. That's what personalization should do. It should spark interest and make it extra relevant and not be super weird. And like, how do you know this? So what we do for one of our campaigns is it's, for instance, selling apparel to student organizations. These students organizations have a mission. They do something. They have the student organization for everyone that's interested in electrical engineering in Chicago. Just an example. Then we create a message. We set up a message where we say, hey guys, super cool how you do. And then there's only a 4-word variable after it's cool how you do. And that's where we let AI fill in their mission in a way that it makes sense in the sentence. That brief, like short placement of personalization has a huge impact on the results of the campaign. If we just say there, it's very cool what your organization does, it's going to, it had like, I think 0.5% reply rate. And when we started to personalize it and put their mission there, we have like 7 to 10% reply rate on that same message. So that's the stuff that personalization can do. We do it with Clay. We scrape their website or the directory of their school with their organization. And that always has a big text where it explains what the organization does. And we throw that in an AI, like give the AI the prompt to only give us that part of the sentence. And that works.
I mean, great you mentioned this because for the ones that have been part of outreach in these last 2 years with the personalization, I mean, sometimes, as you said, how is your dog doing, and
Yeah.
or how is your colleague from college doing, and you're thinking like, well, I don't know you. How do you mention this stuff? So customization and personalization is key.
Yeah,
I would not go. Go ahead.
yeah,
Do you
no,
want?
I had a call Monday with a customer, and he got a cold email from someone else, and he told me like, yeah, and he mentioned the bar where I used to drink at. Someone in the email asks something like, "Have you recently visited?" And then the bar where he used to have a drink when he was a student, because he mentioned that in a podcast that was on YouTube. And that customer of mine was like, I was totally freaked out. I was like, how does this person know that? And this is super weird. So that was just, you can go down of the rabbit hole of what's possible with personalization. And there's really no point in doing that. You're only going to scare away customers. But no personalization is, in most cases, also not a good idea.
Thank you, Floris. I think we can wrap it up. So Vectify.io, if you want to know more, you can check it out. If you're in a potential client of them, they have a lot of information, testimonials, why, who, what, explained on the website, but also you can get to them. And just for the end, I would ask you, Floris, if you have any advice, any message that you would like to share with, let's say, SME owners, founders, sales leaders. What would you say from your side?
I heard someone say, it's not my quote, but I heard someone say outflow is inflow. And I totally agree. Like if you start doing outflow and you start messaging people and you start sending cold emails and you start doing anything, it will eventually result in inflow. But you just have to start and optimize. If you only optimize and don't start, there's no point. So just outflow is inflow.
Thank you, Floris. And for the others, join us and share our experts insights podcast and contact us if you in the form, if you think you have what to say and be a guest at the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.